Hi, my name is Corina Newsome, and I am currently a graduate student in biology at Georgia Southern University in Statesboro, Georgia. My background in my career has actually been in zoo science, specifically as a zookeeper, and I recently transitioned back into school to do more field biology. And so I'm going to explain to you a little bit about what it took to do both of those careers. And regarding my career as a zookeeper, that job included a lot of some of what you might imagine when you think of a zookeeper, a lot of cleaning, a lot of interacting with animals, but it involves the science of animal training, which involves a lot of psychology, as well as being able to understand and implement the care that each different kind of species that you take care of needs. And over the course of my career so far, I've been able to take care of about 100 or so species of different animals, ranging from birds, to reptiles, mammals, amphibians, even some bugs and arachnids like spiders and scorpions. And that job had a lot of moving parts, lots of pieces. So there was the cleaning, of course, which is, again, what a lot of people think of when they think of zookeeping. It also involved animal training. It also involved, which is one of my favorite parts, educating the public. So my job included doing animal shows on grounds with the people that came to the zoo, as well as traveling off grounds to interact with school students, traveling to a variety of different schools, community groups, and doing environmental education in our community outside of the zoo. Again, one of my favorite parts. Now, as a graduate student, though, I am currently doing research on a small bird called the McGillivray's seaside sparrow, and it's a bird that resides in the coastal marshes of Georgia, North and South Carolina, and Florida, but I'm focusing specifically on the ones that live in Georgia. And as a student, just like you, a lot of my time is spent in class and doing assignments for class, but there is an added portion of research that I'm doing that is actually the core of my degree, and that's what's going to essentially propel me into my future once I graduate. The way that I got into my field was kind of a roundabout way. So growing up, I always liked wildlife, I liked animals, but I didn't really know what a career working with wildlife would look like outside of being a veterinarian. So I volunteered at animal hospitals. I tried to get experience in the field of veterinary medicine, but I found out I didn't like it when I passed out in the middle of a surgery and kind of had to make a quick career change. And someone from my local zoo reached out to me and told me that I should volunteer, that I should intern at the Philadelphia Zoo, which was my local zoo. And so I got into the field of wildlife conservation by interning at the Philadelphia Zoo, both in conservation education, where I was talking to zoo guests about the animals they were seeing and about what they can do to save those animals, as well as participating in animal care. So, cleaning the enclosures of certain animals, providing their food and nutrition, some of their animal training, for example. And then once I had completed my first internship, that's actually when I went to college, and my degree is in zoo and wildlife biology. And that degree, it really equipped me for both of the careers that I've been a part of. So firstly, as a zookeeper, it gave me a lot of the knowledge I needed to know what different kinds of animals need to survive. So I took lots of classes on things like herpetology, which is the study of reptiles and amphibians, mammalogy, which is the study of mammals, ornithology, which is the study of birds. So I took a lot of different wildlife classes that equipped me with the knowledge that I needed to succeed in an animal care field. But in addition to that, I was able to get lots of animal care experience at my school. We actually had an animal collection at my school that gave students hands-on experience. And that's actually very key for getting a career in animal care and zookeeping, is getting that animal care experience before you hit the job market. Now, when it comes to research, and when it comes to being a successful graduate student and getting into a graduate program, it was actually very important that I had research experience. So in addition to getting animal care experience when I was in college, I also sought out research experience. So I essentially went to various professors in my department and asked if any of them were participating or conducting research that they needed help with from an undergraduate, and research that I could do myself, actually, questions that they wanted to answer that they could help mentor me in answering. And that's what I did. And I completed a thesis for my undergraduate degree. And that is actually what equipped me really well for being able to go back into research now as a graduate student in biology. When it comes to zookeeping and animal care and working in zoos specifically, usually the kind of experience they want you to have, well, firstly, you have to have a degree, and it's usually in some kind of natural science. So whether it's biology or it's specific like zoo and wildlife biology like mine. And you also have to have experience, which can sound kind of weird because it's like, how do you get experience without having a job? But that's really where internships come in and volunteering. So if you have the capacity, if you have a zoo near you, or a facility that cares for animals near you, especially larger animals like livestock or hoofstock, but zoos especially, and you can complete an internship in animal care, that will give you the experience you need to be competitive on the job market, to be prepared for a full-time job in a career like zookeeping. So when it comes to zookeeping, my favorite part about my job was the variety of species that I got to interact with. And I told you, I've gotten to take care of lots of different species, but because they're also different, there were different parts of my mind that I essentially had to use when working with different kinds of animals. So for example, even within birds, which by the way are my favorite group, when you're working with parrots versus birds of prey, it's a totally different experience. Parrots are very social animals, right? They care about how much time you spend with them, and things like giving them scratches and preening them, which is helping to take care of their feathers, talking to them, giving them food, interacting with them, building a social trust with them. When it comes to birds of prey, they don't care if you scratch them. In fact, they don't want you to touch them, right? Birds of prey don't want to build some sort of friendship with you. They just want to know if you reliably have food and if you're a safe person. That's it. Very basic in that way. So a very diverse set of animals that I've been able to work with, of course, birds being my favorite. And now when it comes to my work as a researcher, as a graduate student, my favorite part of this job is going out into the field and getting to look closely at the world around me. I had actually never been to a coastal marsh, a salt marsh in my life before I went to graduate school. And so my first field season, which was last summer, I was able to explore. Yes, I was collecting data on a very specific question, but I was able to look around. I was looking at crabs, I was looking at mussel, I was looking at the grass, at the salt on the grass, and just being so overwhelmed by how awesome this ecosystem was. It was new to me, but has been around for eons, right? So that's my favorite part of my job for sure. So if you're someone interested in entering the field of wildlife conservation, which has many different facets, right? I've already done 2 of them, which is wildlife biology, field biology, and zookeeping. What I would definitely recommend is seeing if there's any opportunity for you to get exposed to what that job actually looks like, right? Because I told you, I used to want to be a veterinarian until I got into surgery and I passed out and I realized that was not for me. It's really good to get your feet wet, to even if you can shadow for a day, to see what the career that you're interested in really looks like, so you don't go and commit yourself to a career that actually is a lot different than maybe you thought it was, and also so that you can expose yourself to more careers than maybe you realized there were, which is what happened to me when I interned at the zoo. So get as much experience, no matter how little or great, to see and to confirm that what you think you want to do is actually what you want to do, and to expand your horizons. So I would definitely recommend that for any realm of wildlife conservation. So my final thoughts or advice for you all would be to, whatever age you are at, whether you're a youngin' in 3rd grade or if you're about to graduate high school, start thinking very critically about the possibilities for getting experience. Don't be afraid to send an email. Don't be afraid to call. So if you want to be a herpetologist, which is someone who studies, reptiles and amphibians, you can call your local Department of Natural Resources, DNR, wherever you live. Every state has their own Department of Natural Resources, and there's always going to be someone who is a biologist specific to a certain group of animals. So I would call them up, look up the information for the people who work for the Department of Natural Resources where you are, and reach out. Say, hey, can I come shadow you for a day? Can I help come help participate in research for a day, or for however long you would like to? Look for experiences or opportunities to get experience. And don't be afraid to reach out and be ambitious when it comes to making connections, because a lot of success is based on how many connections you can make and how much experience you can get. So I hope that was helpful, and I encourage you to pursue whatever your dream might be, even if it isn't wildlife conservation, and to not be afraid to do so. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.